The expenses are not all bad. The right expenses will help us reach our business and personal goals and grow, and each business is unique. So the same expense for one business may not be helpful for another business. So defining where you want to go is critical to make sure that you get there.
We all have insecurities and fear. So the question is, how do you get over them? It's time to explore and identify what's holding you back from your greatest potential. On this podcast, your host, Iris Janet, shows you how to use NLP, meditation, and energy to move past your obstacles.
Hello, my friends. Welcome back to another episode of Firefly by Iris Janet. And if you are new here, you are welcome and thank you for listening. One of the subjects that we should not take lightly is our finances. Being financially knowledgeable helps us to distinguish between financial decisions that will be beneficial and that can be detrimental to our financial future. Having a plan for your finances will help you meet your short and long-term needs without going beyond your income limits. The sooner someone starts to plan their finances, the better. Margaret Bonan said, being rich is having money, being wealthy is having time. And Robert Kiyosaki said, financial freedom is available for those who learn about it and work for it. If you enjoy this episode at any time, or you know someone who you think it will be inspired by this message, please copy and share the link with them. Today, we have another great show with Jordan Ilderton. She's a CPA, a bookkeeper that help entrepreneurs to increase profitability and to grow their business with her holistic approach. Jordan is going to share with us how to prioritize our time and what to do to manage your financials. Ladies and gentlemen, the one and only Jordan Ilderton.
Hi, Iris. Thank you so much. That was an amazing opening.
Thank you, Jordan. Welcome, and thank you so much for accepting this invitation. This subject is super, super important, and it's probably one of the things that most of the people go on internet when they're looking for manifesting. If we notice, it's manifesting money, right? But they don't understand. Sometimes we don't understand that manifesting money, it also have to do with how you manage the money.
That's correct. I totally agree. So I appreciate being on here so we can talk about this.
Thank you. I always tell my audience that I will bring to them a show with topics that are important and beneficial to grow and to bring our greatest potential. And money is one of those most important subjects. And I'm making no pressure on you, but you are the number one ranking of importance in this show. So Jordan, tell us about you and how you are different from most CPAs and bookkeepers.
Yes, my goal is to partner with business owners and create the business and life that they want. So one of my clients called me her holistic CFO, and I love that. That's kind of where the term came from. I really want business owners to think about the business and the life they want to lead and then back into it. So I create this partnership with them to really help them increase profitability, ease operations, and just overall improve their lives. So we start with a big discovery meeting and we talk about a bunch of things that we don't normally talk about as bookkeepers and CPAs. From there, we meet monthly and just make it all happen.
And this is not only for business owners, it can be for your personal finances as well, right?
It can be. It's mostly been business owners so far, but it kind of applies across the board.
So how does mindset fit into our work and how we can be related to our financials?
I love this question. Mindset is everything. So I'm a big believer that our inner world reflects our outer world. I'm a big believer of what we focus on expands, and I'm a big believer that like attracts like. So we have to show up and believe we are worthy and believe that our goals will come true. So I want all business owners to set these big, hairy goals for themselves and their business. And they just need to be open to receiving all the abundance that will come to them. So we raise our vibes, so we're in alignment with our goals, and then combine the belief with inspired action and strategic planning. So when we're in alignment, everything gets easier and everything just flows. And so then we can take steps to create intentional and sustainable growth.
That make a lot of sense, especially make that alignment. That's one of the most important things for everything that we want in our life, have an alignment with our mind, with our heart, and in the way that we act, right?
Yeah, we're all in the business of love. And so coming from that place of love and abundance instead of coming from lack and scarcity, that's just going to make your interactions with everyone so much better. And it's just going to, make your purpose and your, mission even stronger.
So give me an example how someone can be aligned in related to our financials.
Well, it kind of starts with, looking. I like for people to kind of take an inventory of how they feel about money. And so checking in on their anxiety, checking in on any self-limiting beliefs, and kind of starting there and working through that as they are setting their business goals. And so if we're just focused on the business and hustling and doing this and growing, we kind of have all those blocks within us that are making things harder. And so if we just come from a place of ease and love, and then it makes everything easier.
Yes. My mother used to say that if you do everything with the intention of love, everything works out better. It doesn't matter what it is, even planting a plant, a flower.
I agree. Your mother had good advice.
So what are our biggest mistake that we make about money that can affect our financial freedom?
I think the biggest mistake is not having a strategic plan. So I'm all about inspired action and working when you feel the flow and feel motivated, but we need to create the plan of where you're going. Sometimes business owners, we follow the shiny ball, but if we create a plan, it makes decision-making so much easier. And we can ask ourselves if certain decisions will bring us closer to our goals, and we can ask ourselves and figure out where we need to spend our money. Because expenses are not all bad. The right expenses will help us reach our business and personal goals and grow. And each business is unique. So the same expense for one business may not be helpful for another business. So defining where you want to go is critical to make sure that you get there.
And I imagine that it's not only where we want to go, but also how we're going to go there, right? Because sometimes we put in our plans, I'm going to make X amount of money. Let's say I want my business to be making 6-figure by next year, but how I'm going to do that?
Right. And that's where, that plan comes in. We meet monthly. That's what I do with my clients. But even if you're not working with someone, if you're doing this yourself, having that, weekly date with your money and figuring out, are you staying on track? And what are your goals? Maybe making 3 goals each month, or, just having some kind of plan to know when you get off track. And so, creating the plan is important. And then, noticing where you veer off here and there, that's important as well.
Yes. And, this is so connected what you were saying before, the mindset. Because I'm going to tell you, I give you an example of myself. When I started a couple of years ago, probably 3 years ago with marketing agency, and I remember making a plan that I wanted to make X amount of money by the end of 2018. I remember I wanted to have X amount of money, but I never made the plan how many customers going to bring me that amount of money. And kind of like in November, I was like, wait a minute, I still haven't get not even close to what I wanted. But then when I look at my plan and I look at my mindset, I noticing there was a contradiction in there. In my plan, I wanted something, but my mindset was afraid to making those cold calls. I tried kind of like to shift things to see if it was working out, but it was really the mindset.
Yes. You need the mindset there, not holding you back, and then having that plan of action, because we can really get on decision overload, like what's the right decision? There's so many decisions out there. And so if we kind of have a clear path, that really helps narrow down the decision. So is this decision aligned with what I'm trying to do? Yes or no? Okay, move on. Next decision. So that really, you're coming from that place where you're open and your mind is in the right place. And then you also have subsequent steps that you can kind of follow and get there, as opposed to just grasping at straws.
We Support specializes in creating and growing exceptional brands. In today's virtual world, social media is an essential marketing technique required to create online presence. Social media is a new way people communicate, shop, and learn. With countless things changing on social media, it can get overwhelming running those ads and campaigns. We Support Group can help your business be more efficient and profitable. And today we have a special offer for business owners with little to no social media presence. Let us help you grow a profitable business. Our consultants are experts in identifying your strategy. For more information, visit our page, wesupportgroup.net, and take advantage of the special offer. And if you mention that you hear this offer at Firefly by Iris Janet, you'll also get a 10% discount. We Support, modernizing how people connect with business.
And how do we make those plans? Do we have to make like an Excel sheet? What is it we have to do to make a plan?
I think it's really for the individual, what works for them. If someone wants to journal and maybe think about all their desires and everything they want, then maybe write out who that person is that achieves all those desires. And then from there, what does that person do on a daily basis to get there? Or you can kind of take a more systematic approach with a spreadsheet and having a spreadsheet for your 3-year goals and have a spreadsheet for your 1-year goals, then back it down to the next 90 days. If you want to be a little more, that's what I like to do because I'm an accountant. But I think as long as you come up with a system where you're making yourself accountable or you're working with someone that's helping you be accountable, just whatever works for you, because it's not going to be the same for everyone. So I really want people to know what's realistic for them. Are they on their phone all the time? Is it good to have notes on their phone? Whatever is going to be like right there and easy for them to do that feels natural for them is the best process.
And in your page, you mentioned something about reports. What
Yes.
reports did you recommend we use?
Well, to me, this goes hand in hand with what we just talked about with creating that strategic plan. So there are 100 reports out there and KPIs. And just a quick note, KPI stands for Key Performance Indicators. So each industry has their own kind of set of KPIs based if you're in retail or if you're in service. And within that industry, there's even like 100 of those. So you could monitor all of this every month, but it would just be super overwhelming. So once you know what you're trying to achieve, then you can determine the reports and numbers that are important to you. So the most basic reports are a profit and loss and balance sheet. And those are kind of the bare minimum to look at every month. They're just kind of a snapshot of your business. So, as a business owner, it's not as comprehensive as you would like. It's not a true management report. So you can also look into the KPIs of your industry. So for example, if you're in retail, you can track average revenue per transaction, initial markup, revenue per labor hour, inventory turnover, and just even more than that. So knowing what you're trying to accomplish will help determine what you should track. I like KPIs, but I don't hang my hat on the industry comparisons. I think it's helpful to know your industry, but the key is to know your numbers. So I had a client mention one time, she's in retail, and she said, my industry sells apples and oranges, but I sell rice. Even though we're in the same industry, there can be a lot of variation. So I think it's important to determine what's valuable knowledge to you and your goals, and then monitor it on a monthly basis and on a multi-period basis.
Yes, that make a lot of sense. It's kind of like also we can use those reports for forecasts. Like
Right.
when you look at the weather, let me see how I'm going to get dressed today to go out.
Right. Budgets are good. Forecasting is good. Those kind of work hand in hand if you're working with someone every month. There's all kinds of great software out there that really helps us put in these different variables and see what happens.
Definitely, definitely. And you mentioned something to business owner that do not focus so much on the ideal client. What do you mean here?
If we focus really on the ideal client, I think we can exclude some amazing clients if that's just our focus. So I think we need to niche down on the problem that we solve, and then we can apply that to a broader community. So once we really know how we can help people and solve their problems, then we can reach a broader base. And that's really what it's about, is using our talents to help more people.
That is so true, because sometimes we may have the ideal client that is this way, in this specific way, but we don't know that someone else can jump into be that client.
It's part of, getting our message out there and being in the business of love and, figuring out how we can help people and then once we know that, then it just applies to whoever has that problem. It doesn't mean they live in a certain area or they, or a certain age group or anything like that. It just means, who can we help and who can we serve?
Yes, exactly. And that intention to bring always something good to society, to people, it bring good benefits. I have experienced that if your intention is good, there's always something good that come out of it.
Right. I agree.
Yeah. But sadly, our time is over. But before we go, Jordan have a free gift for our audience. Jordan, tell us about it.
Oh, great. So I have a time blocking spreadsheet that I made. I think time blocking I think it's great. I use it personally. I recommend it to people. I feel like sometimes with our time, we can be overwhelmed with a project. And so, you think, oh, I have this big project and I never have 4 hours to sit down and work on it. And so if we think about it like that, then the project never gets done. And so if we have time blocking, we can kind of create our schedule for the week where during certain times we work on certain things. So if you have a big project, you can schedule in an hour a week and then get that done in a month. Or you can do an hour a day and you can make sure that you have time for those big projects. And then it also kind of prevents you from having to constantly make decisions about what are you going to work on? Or I only have a little bit of time, so I'm just going to pop on social media and waste it. So I think having those designated times where you do client calls or you do client work or you look at your own books or you do social media promoting and having those set ahead of time, you don't have to decide when the time comes up, what do I work on now? And then it just helps keep you organized and keep everything flowing. And so I created the template and it's very basic. So it's just kind of a starting place for anyone who wants to use it. And hopefully they'll find it helpful.
And I told you, I cheat. I went and get the your gift before the show. And
Good.
I actually downloaded last week. I shared with my daughter because now that we're working at home, it's so much important to be disciplined. And this timetable, it helps you to discipline your life. Now that we are working more from home after, this pandemic, almost a lot of people are working from home. And we have the freedom to go to the kitchen anytime we want. We have the freedom to look at the phone, but having the discipline of managing your time is so important and you are so much productive. I went and downloaded and I told you, when I see it, I was like, oh my gosh, I noticed how much time I was wasting.
Yeah.
It's unbelievable.
Yeah. I worked at home for a long time and I only recently started using this because I just figured this out and I was like, this is a game changer for me. This is great. So I'm glad. I hope people, get some use out of it. I think it's something that we all need to be mindful of.
So where they can get this gift? What is the name of the link?
Yes, my website is Ilderton Bookkeeping LLC. So it's ILDERTON Bookkeeping LLC. And it's on there in my blog. I think it is under a page called Rain Doesn't Fall on One House Alone. So it's kind of this problem that we're all in together. And hopefully it will be useful. It's on my website. And I've also probably posted it to Facebook and Instagram. They can find me there too.
For those who do not catch the www.ildertonbookkeepingllc.com, you will have those details also in the show. On the bottom of the show, you can get all these details on where to find more information, where to download that. You're going to love it. You're going to love that timetable. I really like it. I think it helped a lot to realize where we put in so much time in sometimes in things that are not beneficial for us, but also it can help at least alleviate me with the project. I'm writing my book right now. And I noticed that I was like stressed out thinking, oh my gosh, I'm not going to have it ready for the deadline that I want to. But what I did is that I used that and I select a day where I'm working like 1 hour on Thursday, 1 hour on Friday, and then several hours on Sunday. So I were able now to visualize that, yes, it's going to be possible if I follow this.
Yes, I'm so glad, Iris.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Jordan. Thank you.
Thank you.
Also, a quick reminder to our audience to go to fireflybyIrisJanet.com and download your free PDF with positive affirmation. They help you begin your day with positive attitude. And if you want to continue being inspired, follow me at Instagram, at Firefly_IJ, on Facebook, Firefly by Iris Janet. Jordan, thank you so much for your time. And to our audience, thank you for being here. Thank you for listening. And remember, emit your light and attract all your desires.